So Kartik, today we're going to talk about book review, right? Right. Okay. So let me introduce Kartik in the event that he needs some introduction now. He's been with us for several months, uh, and we are very, very glad to have him. I'll just say a little bit about Kartik. Kartik is a, you know, a genuine communications expert. These days, many people do a few courses here and there, 1 or 2 years, and they, start calling them experts. But Karthik is a genuine communication expert, and I can vouch for that based on some of the sessions that we've had. And he has done a fair amount in the field of communication. He's written a book. He writes. He's been writing for a while. He's a prolific writer, I would say. He has made films. He's been in advertising, uh, and he is now in what one could say is the highest form of communication, which is teaching. Right? And so we're very, very glad to have you with us, Karthik. And because I this session is really about providing you a few skills and also encouraging you to read. And I also want to encourage you to read books and write book reviews so that you can share what you've read with other people. So that is the background with which I requested Karthik to talk about how to write a book review today. And so over to you, Karthik. Thank you again for being here.
Thank you very much, Jugjeev sir, Manisha ma'am. A very good morning. Very good morning to all of you students. I'm hoping कि PYDS से भी कुछ बच्चे हैं because हाल ही में मैं आप सबसे मिला था. मुझे बहुत खुशी हुई that we meet so many of you online, and then when there's an opportunity to see you and interact with you offline, it's really special. Uh, Taking from what Jugjeev sir said, होता ये है कि इन ऑल ऑफ अस ह्यूमन बीइंग्स जब भी हम कुछ पढ़ते हैं, एंड दैट इज नॉट नेसेसरली फ्रॉम द पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू ऑफ एकेडमिक स्टडीज. जब भी हम कुछ पढ़ते हैं, लिखते हैं, पढ़ते हैं, देखते हैं, सुनते हैं, the moment we write it or write about it, uh, we tend to think about it more deeply, in a more detailed and nuanced manner, and we realize things that we didn't realize in that brief interaction we had with that stimulus, जो राइटिंग करने से ही हमें उसके अलग अलग लेयर्स का रियलाइजेशन होता है. एंड so therefore the learning and the richness of experience that we derive is a lot more. इसलिए I think हमारी आपकी दृष्टि से for students, it's a wonderful idea to write reviews of the books that you read. And we have such a wonderful practice that has been instituted in the reflections that are made. वो एक तरह से अगर मैं कहूँ तो एक रिव्यूइंग प्रोसेस के ही माइक्रोकॉजम्स हैं, छोटे छोटे भाग हैं. एंड व्हेन यू राइट अ डिटेल्ड कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव रिव्यू, it gives you an opportunity to digest, ingest, perceive, conclude that piece of creation, that piece of art, चाहे वो किताब हो, चाहे वो फिल्म हो, चाहे वो पेंटिंग हो, in a much more rich way. अगर हम एक्चुअली रिव्यू के बारे में सोचें, रिव्यू शब्द के बारे में सोचें, तो शायद हम ये पाएंगे कि हम दुनिया में किसी भी अनुभव अनुभव को रिव्यू कर सकते हैं. Generally speaking, we come across reviews that are professionally written of certain products and certain services. But I can review any experience I have. If I visit a doctor for the first time, I can write a review. If I go to a particular swimming pool for the first time, I can write a review. रिव्यू यानी रिफ्लेक्शन, यानी उसमें एक मिक्स होता है जहां हमारे ओपिनियंस, हमारे व्यूज होते हैं और सर्टेन फैक्चुअल इंफॉर्मेशन होती है. When it comes to writing reviews of books, obviously there are certain things which we should keep in mind. Please understand कि ये हमेशा ही अपने सेशंस में होता है कि कुछ ऐसी चीजें हैं, कुछ ऐसे पहलू हैं बुक रिव्यू राइटिंग में भी जो थोड़े सीनियर स्टूडेंट्स को ज्यादा समझ में भी आएगा, उनके लिए बहुत वो अहम हो जाएंगे वो पहलू. And for more the ones who are more junior amongst us, you can follow a more broader approach to what I'm going to share with you. Uh, मुझे ये अवसर मिला है कि मैं थोड़ा सा शो ऑफ कर सकूं. There's a very respected literary journal called the Book Review, for which I write regularly. So I actually write book reviews very regularly. So I'm especially excited to discuss this today. चलिए, so with that, let me share my presentation. सो पहली बात समझने की ये है कि हम रिव्यू क्यों लिखें. बिकॉज वी आर स्टूडेंट्स. फर्स्ट एंड फॉरमोस्ट हम रिव्यू अपने आप के लिए लिख रहे हैं, एक रिकॉर्ड कीपिंग के पर्सपेक्टिव से, एक डीपर अंडरस्टैंडिंग के पर्सपेक्टिव से, और फिर एक रिव्यू का, लाइक जुगजीव सर वेरी करेक्टली सेड, बहुत जरूरी फैसेट ये होता है कि हमारे रिव्यू के द्वारा किसी और को अगर उस पर्टिकुलर किताब में रुचि है या उसके बारे में क्यूरियोसिटी है, तो वो पहले ही हमारे रिव्यू से सर्टन इंफॉर्मेशन जान सकें, जिसके आधार पे वो ये निर्णय ले पाएं whether to invest their time, effort, etc. in acquiring that book, reading that book, so on and so forth. So, as I have written here, make readers' life simpler. Now, there is an additional bit of information which I must share with you. जब आप और मैं एक रिव्यू लिखते हैं एक किताब को पढ़ के और उसके बारे में हमारे ख्याल, हमारे ऑब्जर्वेशंस लिखते हैं, वी कॉल दैट ए रिव्यू. जो लोग ये काम प्रोफेशनली करते हैं, देर आर पीपल हु राइट रिव्यूज एज ए सोर्स ऑफ लाइवलीहुड, जिन्हें एक सर्टन क्रिटिकल मास ऑफ ऑडियंस ने इस रूप में एक्सेप्ट किया है कि वो इस पर्टिकुलर सेक्टर या दायरे के एक्सपर्ट हैं. तो वो रिव्यूज क्रिटिक्स कहलाते हैं और वो व्यक्ति क्रिटिक्स कहलाते हैं. So you will have restaurant reviews and film reviews and things like that. And the ones you see in the papers, vagera vagera, those are written by critics. And we, you and I, are just simple, ordinary reviewers. प्रोडक्ट्स और सर्विसेज, जैसा मैंने कहा, रिव्यू होते हैं. इट्स एन इंटरेस्टिंग क्वेश्चन. आई हैव नेवर रियली बीन एबल टू आंसर इट माई सेल्फ. वुड समवन लाइक टू शेयर कि एक किताब जब हम पढ़ते हैं, डू यू सी दैट एज अ प्रोडक्ट और अ सर्विस? It's a slightly philosophical question, but I'm curious. Is a book a product or a service? So maybe that's something that you can plant and think about.
The service, actually, right? Think. I mean, it's coming
So,
to you through a physical product, but actually it's a service. I think it's interesting.
yeah, it's absolutely, and it is something worth pondering.
Yeah.
जब हम रिव्यू लिखेंगे, ऑफ कोर्स आई विल टेल यू अ फॉर्मेट, अ स्ट्रक्चर, सारी चीजें मैं बताऊंगा, पर ब्रॉडली स्पीकिंग हमें किन चीजों का ख्याल रखना चाहिए. देर आर सर्टेन फैक्ट्स जो किसी भी किताब के बारे में होंगे. उसे किसने लिखा है, कब लिखा है, ये उस पर्टिकुलर व्यक्ति की पहली किताब है, दूसरी किताब है, एक सीरीज में एक और कली जुड़ी है, अम, किसने पब्लिश की, कौन सी भाषा में है, कौन से जॉनर की बुक है, मिस्ट्री है, सेल्फ हेल्प बुक है, फैंटेसी है, all of those things come under the category of facts जो हमें अपने रिव्यू के माध्यम से इंफॉर्मेशन, बेसिक इंफॉर्मेशन शेयर करनी ही चाहिए। पर उसके साथ साथ, एंड दिस इज वेयर थिंग्स गेट रियली इंटरेस्टिंग, इसलिए हम हमेशा कहते हैं कि रिव्यू पढ़ लो बट डोंट टेक इट टू सीरियसली, क्योंकि एट द एंड ऑफ द डे जो ओपिनियंस के पोर्शंस होते हैं एक पर्टिकुलर रिव्यू में, दोज आर प्रीटी मच लाइक रिफ्लेक्शंस। देयर आर नो राइट्स और रॉन्ग्स। It is what I feel, it is what you feel, it is what that particular individual feels and perceives and thinks. इसमें बहुत सारी चीजें आती है which we will get into, but the point of this particular slide is to just demonstrate that it's important to strike a healthy balance in our reviews between facts and opinions. ऐसा जिंदगी में कम ही होता है कि नॉट जस्ट अ बुक, कोई भी हमारा अनुभव या तो फुल्ली पॉजिटिव हो या फुल्ली नेगेटिव हो। हम एक रेस्टोरेंट में खाने जाते हैं, वहां पे कुछ कुछ चीजें हमें बहुत पसंद आएंगी, कुछ एक हो सकता है सर्विस ठीक नहीं थी, हो सकता है खाना बहुत देर से आया, हो सकता है सब कुछ बहुत अच्छा था, पर इतने इतने से पोर्शंस दिए उन्होंने। सो व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू से इज दैट बी ऑनेस्ट इन योर रिव्यूज। जो आपको लगे उस पर्टिकुलर किताब की प्लस पॉइंट्स हैं उनको उस तरह से लिखिए, और जो आपको लगे कि उस किताब की खामियां हैं आपके हिसाब से, शॉर्ट कमिंग्स हैं, और वेयर यू फील दैट देयर कुड हैव बीन इंप्रूवमेंट, प्लीज राइट दैट। Please understand that the meaning of a review is not to submit a glowing testimony for that book or for that author. हमें ये नहीं करना है कि हम उसके मतलब केवल केवल हम प्रेज के पुल बांधें। वी मस्ट अप्रोच इट इन अ बैलेंस्ड एंड ऑनेस्ट मैनर। अगर हमें कुछ चीजें उसके बारे में अच्छी नहीं लग रही हैं, वो कुछ भी हो सकता है, कई बार हमें लग सकता है कि भाई एंडिंग बेहतर हो सकती थी, अलग हो सकती थी। इट वुड हैव बीन मोर satisfying for me if the character did not remain tragic, if he or she became triumphant, अगर वो सुलझ गया, सुधर गया, रिजॉल्व हो गया, वॉट एवर द केस इज। यू कैन फाइंड डीमेरिट्स इन वेरियस एरियाज। यू कैन फील दैट बुक बहुत ही अच्छी थी पर थोड़ी स्लो थी, थोड़ी ड्रैग कर रही थी, जगह जगह मुझे नींद आ रही थी, बोरिंग हो रही थी, वॉट एवर इट इज। This is very, very important, particularly for senior students and actually for all of you, since we are talking about reflections and that's the background and standpoint we are coming from. देखो, एक चीज होती है जो एक ऊपरी लेवल पे एक जो कहानी चल रही है, जो साफ दिख रही है, पेज पे लिखी गई है, हम पढ़ रहे हैं उसे, हम डाइजेस्ट कर रहे हैं। वेरी ऑफन राइटर्स, क्रिएटर्स, ऑथर्स, पेंटर्स, फिल्म मेकर्स, वो अपने पात्रों के द्वारा, वो अपने कैरेक्टर्स के द्वारा, वो अपनी छवियों के द्वारा कुछ कुछ अपनी राय रीडर को, ऑब्जर्वर को कम्युनिकेट करना चाहते हैं, जो उस पर्टिकुलर कहानी के दायरे से बिल्कुल अलग या बाहर हो सकती है। Generally speaking, these are in the realm of a comment or a point of view that the author has regarding society, regarding the political situation, regarding things of importance to him or her that are currently going on in the world, जो एक बहुत ही माइक्रो या इमीडिएट स्तर पे भी हो सकता है। तो अगर कोई जयपुर में बैठ के लिख रहा है, there can be a comment or commentary on what's going on immediately here, or it can, again, my favorite term, those concentric circles, it can be a comment regionally, nationally, internationally, globally. We should develop our minds in order to pick up on these underlying messages and themes that are being explored and subliminally supplied through the writing, through various characters and various situations. कई बार कैरेक्टर्स कुछ ना भी कर रहे हों, तो जिसे हम बैकड्रॉप, बैकग्राउंड या सेटिंग बोलते हैं, उस सेटिंग से ही एक राइटर या ऑथर एक पर्टिकुलर सिचुएशन पे टिप्पणी कर सकता है। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, let's say there are two characters, one young boy who's extremely keen on getting into the Indian cricket team, and it's about a relationship between him and his father. But the backdrop is that match after match, India is winning because match fixing की जा रही है, matches are being bought. So now, even so, in this situation, the two characters themselves are not burdened with the task, with the additional task of communicating the writer's actual messaging or theme, but the setting or the backdrop can do it. But we must be aware and awake to this, because this is precisely the type of thing that contributes to that richness and to that nuanced layering that I was referring to when we started. कि एक फिल्म मेकिंग में, स्क्रिप्ट राइटिंग में एक्चुअली हम एक बहुत सुंदर फ्रेज सीखते हैं। इट्स कॉल्ड टेक्स्ट। तो टेक्स्ट तो आप सब समझते ही हैं, जो लिखा हुआ है, और एक होता है सब टेक्स्ट, जो इमीडिएटली सरफेस के नीचे क्या चल रहा है। आई गिव यू अ वेरी सिंपल एग्जांपल फॉर दिस। लेट्स से कि आप में से कोई भी सुबह उठते हैं और आपने उठने में बहुत लेट कर दिया है, स्कूल जाने में देर हो गई है, मम्मी बहुत ज्यादा गुस्सा है, और फिर वो जिस तरह से बोलेंगी आके ब्रेकफास्ट खाओ, वो बहुत अलग टोन, लाइजे वगैरह वगैरह के साथ होगा, एज अपोज टू शी सेइंग come and have breakfast on a morning where you are neat and clean and on time. तो ऊपर ऊपर में जो चल रहा है वो सेम है कि ओ मम्मा ने ब्रेकफास्ट खाने बुलाया है, बट वी विल बी फेलिंग इन आवर ड्यूटीज एज कॉन्शियस रीडर्स इफ वी डू नॉट पिक अप ऑन द फैक्ट दैट एक सिनारियो में मम्मी का मूड बहुत अच्छा था, और दूसरे सिनारियो में एक्चुअली व्हाट इज हैपनिंग इन दैट सिचुएशन इज बहुत ज्यादा गर्मी हो गई है, बहुत ज्यादा गुस्सा आ रहा है। सो वी मस्ट बी अवेयर ऑफ व्हाट इज हैपनिंग एट अ सरफेस लेवल, और उसके इमीडिएटली बीनीथ क्या चल रहा है, माजरा, असलियत in a sense, वो क्या है, is also sort of part of all these themes, messaging and commentary, etc., etc. जब हम अपने रिव्यूज लिखते हैं, तो ऑब्वियसली हमें उन्हें क्लियरली, स्पष्ट तरीके से लिखना चाहिए। ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि जो व्यक्ति हमारा रिव्यू पढ़ रहा है उसे कंफ्यूजन हो कोई भी तरह का कि ओ ये जो चीज मेंशन्ड है, ये इस रिव्यूअर की, इस स्टूडेंट का ओपिनियन है, या ये इस पुस्तक के बारे में फैक्ट है। which we will come to. There are very simple ways of doing that. मैंने लिखा भी है, a very very good way of stating opinions is जब भी हम अपनी राय किसी भी पहलू के बारे में रखना चाहते हैं, तो अगर हम सर्टन phrases यूज करें, सर्टन expressions यूज करें, in my opinion, according to me, in my experience, I felt, it was my strong belief, this was my takeaway. तो आप ये बात शुरू में ही स्पष्ट कर दे रहे हो कि ये मेरा निजी सोचना है. दिस इज नॉट अ फैक्ट. This is a view, a point of view, and the whole point is that there can be many, many points of view. But it helps to clarify that. इससे दो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीजें होती है. नंबर वन, ऑफ कोर्स, लाइक वी डिस्कस्ड, it does not leave any room for confusion or ambiguity. And number two, please understand कि आज के दिन किसी को भी ये पसंद नहीं है कि कोई और हमारी तरफ से, हमारे बिहाफ पे कुछ चीज भी डिसाइड कर रहा है. And sometimes when we make certain statements, let's say I say, oh, this book is painfully boring, and वो मैं आपका रिव्यू पढ़ रहा हूं, मेरा वो बहुत ही चहीदा राइटर है, आई विल गेट वेरी इरिटेटेड विद यू कि अरे तुम कौन होते हो इसको कंक्लूड करके, हाउ कैन यू मेक दिस जजमेंट दैट दिस इज वेरी वेरी बोरिंग, एंड पीपल कैन गेट offended. So in order to safeguard yourself as a writer who's putting out your views, etc., in public, which is what happens with reviews, it is just best to place these statements with the caveat of an expression such as in my opinion, in my view, etc. अब हम अपने रिव्यू को किस तरह से कंस्ट्रक्ट करेंगे, एंड इसमें सारे अहम एलिमेंट्स जो हमें एक रिव्यू में इंक्लूड करने चाहिए वो भी हैं. साथ ही साथ यू कैन प्रिटी मच यूज दिस एज ए फ्लो चार्ट इन टर्म्स ऑफ फॉर्मेट और स्ट्रक्चर एज वेल, इन टर्म्स ऑफ अ क्रोनोलॉजी, कि पहले हम इसके बारे में लिखेंगे, फिर इसके बारे में, फिर इसके बारे में, फिर इसके बारे में. दिस इज ए fairly logical kind of flow or structure that you can just keep with yourselves, and feel free to use it. Context, background. एक सेकेंड. Okay, I've given samples for everything. Good. ठीक है. So context, premise, context का मतलब होता है कि जो भी हम बैकग्राउंड इंफॉर्मेशन शेयर कर सकें, उस ऑथर का छोटा सा क्या बैकग्राउंड है, ये कोई सजेस्ट नहीं कर रहा है कि वहां पे पूरी वो उनकी आत्मकथा लिख दो, बट इन अ फ्यू ससिंक्ट वर्ड्स you can quickly mention, let's say you are reviewing the new Harry Potter book. It will help to quickly sort of share background of J.K. Rowling in terms of what a successful author she's been, and this is part 31 in the series, or whatever the case may be. And there has been a lot of excitement, and it's been a lot of gap. People have been waiting for 5 years for this book to come out, etc., etc. तो जो भी वास्तविक फैक्चुअल बैकग्राउंड इंफॉर्मेशन हम शेयर कर सकते हैं, दैट इज अ वंडरफुल वे ऑफ स्टार्टिंग अ रिव्यू, बिकॉज इट काइंड ऑफ वो एक बेस बना देता है. आप सडनली रिव्यू इटसेल्फ में जंप नहीं कर रहे. व्हाट एनालॉजी कैन आई गिव यू? व्हेन यू एंटर अ होम, अगर हम दरवाजा खोलते हैं और सीधे ही हम ड्राइंग डाइनिंग रूम में आ जाते हैं, तो कई बार थोड़ा सा अजीब लगता है. एंड इफ देयर इज अ स्मॉल लिटिल हॉलवे या एक कोई पैसेज हो, तो थिंक ऑफ इट लाइक दैट. Premise is just a good or a fancy word to say कि बेसिक सेटिंग कहानी की, सेटिंग नहीं, बेसिक एक वन लाइनर अगर मैं कहूं तो क्या है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, This is the story about a boy from an alien planet who happens to crash land into Earth, and how his life develops into becoming somebody who comes to be known as the savior of mankind on Earth. So you could say that that is a one liner of Superman. So that is what I mean by premise, कि उसकी एक उसका एक वन लाइन समरी या झलक हम प्रेमिस में दे सकते हैं, आफ्टर विच we get इस सब के एग्जांपल्स हैं, I'm going to share them, so don't worry. Then we get into characters, protagonist, antagonist. Protagonist, antagonist again are just fancy ways of saying कई बार हमारी कहानियों में जो मेन पात्र होता है वो नेगेटिव कैरेक्टर होता है और कई बार पॉजिटिव कैरेक्टर होता है. हीरो एंटी हीरो भी कहते हैं उसे, बहुत नाम है. सो दैट इज प्रोटैगनिस्ट इज पॉजिटिव, एंटागनिस्ट इज नेगेटिव. अच्छी कहानियों में कहीं ना कहीं एक कॉन्फ्लिक्ट प्रेजेंट होता है. कॉन्फ्लिक्ट पे 10 सेशंस लिए जा सकते हैं, पर बहुत संक्षेप में मैं ये कह सकता हूं दैट कॉन्फ्लिक्ट बेसिकली मींस कि जिस तरह से एक कैरेक्टर की लाइफ चल रही है उसमें ऐसा कुछ डेवलपमेंट होता है जिससे वो नॉर्मल लाइफ डिस्टर्ब हो जाती है. Now, this can be an internal conflict also. Let's say मुझे आर्मी में बहुत डेस्परेटली दाखिल होना है, पर मैं फिजिकल एग्जाम से बहुत ही ज्यादा भयभीत हो गया हूं, एंड देन दिस बिकम्स एन इंटरनल कॉन्फ्लिक्ट कि मैं उस फियर से कैसे ओवरकम करूंगा. या एक्सटर्नल कॉन्फ्लिक्ट का सेम ही दायरे में अगर मैं एग्जांपल दूं तो लेट्स से आई एम अ गर्ल, आई वांट टू बिकम अ फाइटर पायलट, एंड देन सडनली द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ माय कंट्री अनाउंसेस दैट नाउ women will not be taken for armed conflict in fighter jets anymore. So that becomes an external conflict. But usually there is a conflict present. We need to notice it and we need to talk about it. प्लॉट, हम जरूरत से ज्यादा कई बार मुझे लगता है प्लॉट पे फोकस करते हैं, पर खैर प्लॉट इसेंशियली इज स्टोरी सीक्वेंस, इवेंट सीक्वेंस. इसके बाद ये हुआ, इसके बाद ये हुआ, इसके बाद ये हुआ. दैट इज बेसिकली ऑल देयर इज टू प्लॉट. नाउ वी गेट इन टू प्लेसेस वेयर यहां तक बेसिकली काफी फैक्चुअल चल रहा है अगर आप देखें, क्योंकि इसमें शायद ही कोई बहुत सारी राय होगी कि भाई कॉन्फ्लिक्ट ये है, प्लॉट ये है, कैरेक्टर ये है और बैकग्राउंड ये है. नाउ दिस पॉइंट ऑनवर्ड्स is where your review can become very opinion heavy, because in sari elements में it depends on what my thinking is, what kind of stories and what style of writing, etc., am I drawn to, what do I like, what do I not like. Regular readers tend to have developed certain firm preferences, ऑल ऑफ दैट. सो बहुत जरूरी है कि क्योंकि हम एक डिटेल रिव्यू लिख रहे हैं, हम इसे काफी डिटेल में जांचें और स्क्रूटनाइज करें. तो लैंग्वेज, एक्सप्रेशन, फ्रेजोलॉजी, एक इंग्लिश में एक वो है जिसे हम टर्न ऑफ फ्रेज कहते हैं. कोई ऑथर्स या राइटर्स होते हैं जो बहुत ही कंटेम्प्रेरी मॉडर्न लैंग्वेज यूज करते हैं. कुछ ऐसे राइटर्स और ऑथर्स होते हैं जो मोर ट्रेडिशनल और क्लासिकल उनका स्टाइल होता है लिखने का. कुछ होते हैं जो बहुत ही ज्यादा सब टेक्स्ट में हिंट्स 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 दे के लिखते हैं. कुछ लिखते हैं जो बहुत ही ऑब्वियस लिखते हैं, जिसे हम ऑन द नोज राइटिंग कहते हैं. मतलब उसमें रीडर के लिए कोई गेसवर्क ही नहीं छुटता है. सो ऑल ऑफ दोज थिंग्स कम इन टू एग्जीक्यूशन के अलग 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 वो एस्पेक्ट्स हैं जिनके बेसिस पे वी शुड आस्क आवरसेल्व्स what do we feel and what our opinions are. And again, this is the portion where you must say, in my opinion, because I'm somebody who has always liked straightforward writing, because I'm somebody who likes a slightly older school turn of phrase, I appreciate the usage of beautiful words. ये सब लिखने से रीडर को ये ध्यान में रहता है कि आपके प्रेफरेंसेस क्या हैं, एंड देयरफॉर यू हैव शेयर्ड द ओपिनियंस यू हैव शेयर्ड। रेजोल्यूशन, रेजोल्यूशन का मतलब क्या? दिस इज अबाउट कैरेक्टर रेजोल्यूशन। जनरली अगर हम ये मान के चल रहे हैं कि फिक्शन राइटिंग में, एक कहानी में, एक स्टोरी बुक में एक जो हमारा मेन कैरेक्टर होता है उसके साथ कोई कॉन्फ्लिक्ट है, तो चलते 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 बाय द एंड ऑफ द स्टोरी किसी ना किसी तरह का रेजोल्यूशन होता है। ये जरूरी नहीं है कि वो रेजोल्यूशन पॉजिटिव ही हो, वो रेजोल्यूशन नेगेटिव भी हो सकता है। यानी जो कैरेक्टर्स एंड में नेगेटिव रेजोल्यूशन की ओर बढ़ते हैं उन्हें हम बाय एंड लार्ज लिटरेचर में ट्रेजिक कैरेक्टर्स कहते हैं। एंड दोज जहां पे कहानी में इन अ वे हैप्पी एंडिंग होती है, दोज आर triumphant characters. These are all literature related terms. I'm just additionally sharing them for your better understanding. If it's confusing somebody, तुरंत दिमाग से निकाल दो। So, resolution is where, technically speaking, your story comes and ends, which is why it's very, very important to comment on it. And इसके बाद हम आते हैं on all the other masala that I was talking about in this. और ये आप सोच सकते हैं कितना जरूरी है, because I made a separate slide about it। जो भी सरफेस के नीचे चल रहा है, चाहे वो पॉलिटिकल है, चाहे वो सोसाइटी के बारे में है, इट कैन बी अबाउट एनीथिंग, इट कैन बी अबाउट इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट, इट कैन बी अबाउट टेक्नोलॉजी, इट कैन बी अबाउट गरीबी, इट कैन बी अबाउट बुलिंग, इट कैन बी अबाउट मेंटल हेल्थ। जो भी वो थीम्स और टॉपिक्स हैं जो ऑथर ने या राइटर ने चूज किए हैं कि मैं इस बुक द्वारा, चाहे वो कैरेक्टर्स द्वारा हो या चाहे वो सेटिंग और प्लॉट के द्वारा हो, आई नो आई एम रिपीटिंग, आई एम गोइंग टू यूज दिस टू कम्युनिकेट and paint a picture of the reality as I see it, and my views on it is the stuff that should be scrutinized and written about in as much detail as possible in this part of your रिव्यू। क्योंकि अब स्ट्रिक्टली स्पीकिंग अगर हम देखें तो रिव्यू हो चुका है। वी हैव डन आवर मोस्ट बेसिक duties as far as review writing is concerned, that we've given all the factual information, and we have analyzed the piece of writing on its merit, which is in terms of language, etc., etc. Now, before we finally conclude and share our views, is the time to really, really dive deep into all these other connected aspects. एंड ये करने के बाद आप अपने व्यू से एक या दो फाइनल कंक्लूडिंग लाइंस लिखिए, which also I will give you examples of. Lot of theoretical talking. Let me just, this will become much simpler. Okay, this is a sample of a context. एक शुरुआत कर रहे हैं हम रिव्यू की। While coming of age tales have existed since time immemorial, with numerous exemplary literary gems, such as the classic Great Expectations by Dickens, to a relatively contemporary writing like The Kite Runner, Arun Shah goes boldly into a yet uncharted niche within this realm, the evolution of a divine figure. तो बहुत सारी किताबें ऐसी हैं जो लिखी गई हैं अबाउट a person or an individual starting their life's journey at a certain stage, और फिर वो एक स्टेज पे आके उनको certain realizations होते हैं, वो बड़े हो जाते हैं, वो mature हो जाते हैं, उन्हें अपनी लाइफ का पर्पस समझ में आता है, वगैरह वगैरह। हालांकि इस तरह की बहुत सारी बुक्स लिखी गई हैं। ये जो राइटर है अरुण शाह, ये इसी दायरे में है, पर ये कमिंग ऑफ एज कहानी बता रहा है एक डिवाइन रिलीजियस माइथोलॉजिकल कैरेक्टर के बारे में। In his debut novel, Not Born Brahma, Shah fuses mythological fact with educated fiction to present a plausible, immersive, if somewhat controversial account of the evolution of the deity. The fantastical collides with the real, the mystique with the scientific, questioning the reader, believer, and non believer alike. Personal, political, pleasurable, painful. Does this literary potpourri enchant or repel? सो एक ये अच्छा बैकग्राउंड सेट हो गया है कि ये एक कमिंग ऑफ एज कहानी है। डेब्यू नॉवल, मतलब इस व्यक्ति की ये पहली किताब है। ये ब्रह्मा की कहानी बता रहा है। उसमें इसने माइथोलॉजी के फैक्ट्स भी लिए हैं, पर अपने आप से कई फिक्शनल एलिमेंट्स भी डाले हैं। और ये एक ऐसी कहानी और किताब है जो हर तरह के रीडर को से सवाल पूछेगी और उनके लिए सवाल खड़े करेगी। पर्सनल भी है, पॉलिटिकल भी है, पेनफुल भी है। डज दिस साउंड लाइक समथिंग विच विल अट्रैक्ट यू और मेक यू रन द अदर डायरेक्शन to leave your context or your opening on a question such as this can also be very useful in today's day and age, where you are leaving your reader with a hook, and chances are that they will want to read the rest of your review. सो उसके बाद क्या था? प्रेमिस, कैरेक्टर एंड कॉन्फ्लिक्ट। प्रेमिस, कैरेक्टर एंड कॉन्फ्लिक्ट, ये तीनों चीजें मैंने इस सैंपल में आपके लिए लिखी हैं। A modest couple in a semi rural town in Uttar Pradesh in India, man, an auto rickshaw driver, woman, a stay home tailor, is blessed with a baby boy. Much jubilation and celebration follows. The boy is named Badri. The local goon in town, who routinely extorts a heavy percentage of the citizens' earnings on behalf of his super boss, infamous mafioso Kulkarni, comes calling, warns the couple that failing to cough up their now accumulated contributions within one final month would result in the permanent seizure of their son Badri, who would be raised as one of their own and put into a life of crime. तो ये एक कहानी है, एक सिंपल सा साधारण सा कपल है। एक व्यक्ति है, वो ऑटो चलाता है, उसकी पत्नी घर पे टेलर का काम करती है, उनको एक लड़का होता है। और फिर वहां के जो लोकल गुंडे हैं, जो सबसे हफ्ता वसूली करते हैं, वो आके उन्हें कहते हैं कि भाई तुम लोग का बहुत टाइम से हफ्ता ड्यू है, और अभी अगर इस महीने के एंड तक दिया नहीं तो हम बदरी को ले लेंगे और हम ही उसे पालेंगे पोसेंगे, और फिर वो भी हमारे तरह ही ये सब गुंडागर्दी गर्दी का काम करने लगेगा, तो आप देख लो। सो प्रेमिस हो गया एंड कैरेक्टर हो गया, एंड यू आर ऑल्सो गेटिंग ए हिंट ऑफ द कॉन्फ्लिक्ट. Badri sees his parents visibly distressed and only smiles. Isn't that strange? It seems like he's almost wanting to be taken by the purveyor of this dreadful news. So, very, very surprising. इसे एक तरह से एक ट्विस्ट भी कह सकते हैं। कोई भी सोचेगा कि किसी भी बच्चे को तो और भी डर लग जाएगा, वो तो बल्कि स्माइल कर रहा है और ऐसा सोच रहा है कि हाँ मुझे ले ही जाना चाहिए। Then we come to plot execution. In my view, the novel progresses in a predictable yet self assured manner with good pacing that doesn't leave the reader losing interest. That I found myself ignoring calls from friends whom I was to meet for a round of gaming speaks volumes of the engagement quotient of the book. तो यहां पे मैंने टिप्पणी करी है कि आई फाउंड द पेस गुड, एंड इनफैक्ट मैं इतना इन्वॉल्व हो गया बुक में कि मैंने तो अपने दोस्तों के कॉल्स भी इग्नोर कर दिए जो मुझे वीडियो गेम्स खेलने बुला रहे थे। Another distinct and undeniable advantage a debut novelist of Arun's age seems to bring to the table is a style and language that is contemporary, thoroughly modern, inherently uncomplicated, yet encompasses enough literary heft to keep language snobs satisfied too. A balance that is extremely hard to strike in my experience. तो इसमें ये कहा गया है कि क्योंकि जो नॉवेलिस्ट है, जो ऑथर है, वो खुद ही काफी यंग जनरेशन का है, तो उसके लिखने का स्टाइल बहुत सारे और यंग लोगों को भी समझ में आएगा, पर उसके बावजूद उसने ऐसी काफी लिखाई की है जिससे more serious literary people also will at the same time enjoy the book. As the story moves, symbolism, visual metaphors, and in strategic places, intelligent humor is employed to great effect, adding to the breadth of talent in the book. तो यहाँ फिर हम ये कहना चाह रहे हैं कि ऐसा नहीं है कि ये बहुत बोरिंग है या एक्शन पैक्ड है, तो ऐसा नहीं है कि केवल एक्शन है। इसमें बहुत सारे बहुत मसाला है अलग अलग तरह का। Okay, now is the last few elements which is resolution, जो कैरेक्टर का रेजोल्यूशन होता है। फिर हम थोड़ा बहुत थीम्स की बात करते हैं एंड देन वी कम टू द कंक्लूजन। Tempted as I am to mention some spoilers, I shall resist. Suffice to say that the book reaches a rather satisfying end with a most delicious and unanticipated surprise. तो आई एम जस्ट बीइंग अ बिट चीकी, मैं कह रहा हूं कि मेरा मन कर रहा है कि मैं एंडिंग बता दूं, पर चलो नहीं बताऊंगा। बट एंडिंग मेरे को बहुत सेटिस्फाइंग लगी, और एंड में एक सरप्राइज या एक ट्विस्ट भी आता है विच इज इवन मोर अप्रिशिएटेड। Themes, very important. What is extremely well done and clever, though, beyond the protagonist and his tale, in my considered view, is the juxtaposition of a host of themes highly relevant to the world in which we find ourselves today. आज का जो हमारा आज की जो हमारी दुनिया है, उसके बारे में काफी कुछ टिप्पणी की हुई है। That the plot is set against the dynamic backdrop of small town India, which is witnessing a myriad of social political changes. The book chronicles these developments in a most implicit manner, the author even sharing strong commentary through effective mouthpieces in secondary characters, therefore always natural and never like a contrived sermon. तो एक तो उन्होंने ये चूज किया है कि ये एक छोटे शहर में सेट होगी कहानी, और आज के दिन इंडिया में सबसे ज्यादा डेवलपमेंट या सबसे ज्यादा एक्शन हमें इन तरह की जगहों में देखने को मिल रहा है। सो ऑटोमेटिकली वी गेट अ फ्लेवर ऑफ दैट टाइप ऑफ टाउन। नंबर टू, ही सेइंग कि ऐसी बहुत सारे ऐसे मुद्दे हैं जिन पे ऑथर ने टिप्पणी करी है, पर मेन कैरेक्टर्स के थ्रू नहीं, जो आसपास सब प्लॉट्स और आगे पीछे चर्चाएं चलती हैं जो बुक में मेंशन्ड हैं। हो सकता है एक पान वाला किसी से बात कर रहा है, एटसेट्रा एटसेट्रा। दोज आर द काइंड ऑफ पीपल एंड सिचुएशंस दैट हैव बीन यूज्ड वेरी इफेक्टिवली टू कम्युनिकेट सर्टेन ग्राउंड रियलिटीज। This book, that's dressed up in an outer veil of mythology, ends up being a thoroughly modern, layered, nuanced biryani of the astute author's observed realities and remarks, ideal for anyone inclined politically and sociologically, and in my own view, a must for every young Indian. Please understand, this is a very important example as a conclusion, क्योंकि कई बार ऐसा होता है, हम किसी बुक को देखते हैं, उसका कवर देखते हैं, हमें लगता है अच्छा तो ये तो रामायण है, या ये तो महाभारत है, या ये तो दो फैमिलीज में चल रही लड़ाई के बारे में कहानी है। एंड वी डोंट इमीडिएटली रियलाइज दैट वो तो है ही, पर उसके अलावा भी कितने और चीजों के बारे में भी ये किताब बताती है। सो ऑल आई एम ट्राइंग टू से इज दैट इट्स अ वेरी कॉम्प्लेक्स एंड रिच पीस ऑफ राइटिंग, जो इनफैक्ट इतनी जरूरी एक किताब है और एक कमेंट्री है कि हर यंग इंडियन को मेरे हिसाब से ये पढ़नी चाहिए, विच बिकम्स ऑफ कोर्स अ वेरी वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग एंड एम्फैटिक कंक्लूजन। ओके, नाउ वेरी क्विकली एंड वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, ठीक उसी तरह जिस तरह हम अपनी खुद की कहानियों को शीर्षक देते हैं, वी मस्ट टाइटल आवर रिव्यूज, एंड दैट टाइटलिंग प्रोसेस, if you do it a bit carefully with the safeguards that I'm going to share with you, it can be great fun. एक तो बिल्कुल भी टाइटल के बारे में डोंट बी वरिड, स्ट्रेस्ड, डोंट यूज योर टाइम, एनर्जी, क्रिएटिविटी इन द बिगिनिंग। पहले पूरा रिव्यू लिख लो, क्योंकि उस रिव्यू से ही हमें टाइटल्स क्या होने चाहिए उनकी आइडियाज मिलेंगे। And then there are certain I can't call them rules, but again मेरे सुझाव हैं ये कि आपका टाइटल 1 से 3 वर्ड होना चाहिए, उससे लंबा थोड़ा ज्यादा लंबा हो जाता है। एंड इट शुड बी कैची एंड मेमोरेबल। I wanted to write here that if you can if you can use a pun, it'll be really wonderful, but I didn't want to confuse you all. So we will keep it right now at catchy and memorable। एंड एक ऐसा टाइटल होना चाहिए जो पूरी कहानी नहीं उगल देता है, पर इतना बस टीज करता है कि जो भी वो रिव्यू का टाइटल देखे उसे आगे पढ़ने का मन जरूर करे। And then I've just given a couple of examples of titles, possibly for the review sample that I just shared with you. They're not great. I wasn't feeling particularly creative. But anyway, Divine Debut, or Creator Commentator, or Small Town Big Time। एंड सो यू विल नोटिस कि ये तीनों ही ऑप्शंस, एटलीस्ट इन टर्म्स ऑफ माउथ फील एंड व्हेन यू रीड देम, दे आर कैची इनफ एंड दे pique the reader's curiosity। Okay. Phew. I don't know how we're going to do this, but with 10-12 minutes remaining, ये एक बहुत छोटी सी कहानी है, बट इट हैज इनफ एंड मोर, जिसके आधार पे आप इसे पढ़ के और इसके बारे में एक रिव्यू लिख सकते हैं। वेरी वेरी इजीली इट कैन बी डन। सो आई एम लीविंग दिस ऑन द स्क्रीन, एंड मैं एक बार रीड आउट भी कर देता हूं। Lifting his mattress with relative ease, yet with the caution of a surgeon examining his patient's stitched up wounds, Kinshuk revealed an enviable selection of vintage comic books। एक लड़का है किंशुक, वो अपना बिस्तर, अपना मैट्रेस, अपना गद्दा उठाता है और वहां पे बहुत सारी कीमती पुरानी पुरानी वैल्यूएबल कॉमिक बुक्स बिछी हुई हैं। Before Raghav could react, the keeper of the contraband, means anything illegal, the keeper of the contraband signaled for him to stay quiet. Raghav whispered, "How long have you been stealing these books?" A second signal in response, two fingers in the air. Raghav continued, "2 months and you have not been caught." As Raghav climbed the main staircase of the academic building, he passed the headmaster's office. Crossing, Kinshuk sat outside, head down, awaiting his turn. He felt terrible for his best friend, but then he'd also taken an oath to protect and preserve the library when he was appointed student in charge of the literary society. This had been an impossible choice for Raghav to have had to make. Hitherto in his young life, he hadn't encountered such a monumental dilemma. From the time he had decided and acted on his decision 3 days earlier, he had not been able to come to peace with his decision. Had he been a good friend? Had he been a good student? Had he been both? Or had he been neither? Kinshuk's name was announced at assembly the following morning, along with two other offenders, accomplices in Operation Comic Con. The three had functioned as an equal partnership in this little enterprise of theirs: steal vintage comic books from the library and sell them on the black market. No investment, only plum selling prices and pure profit. Well, not exactly pure, repugnant, reprehensible, but delicious while it lasted। So this is about a boy जो अपने स्कूल की लाइब्रेरी से कॉमिक बुक्स चुरा के और अपने दो दोस्तों के साथ मार्केट में बेच रहा है। बड़ा अच्छा चल रहा है उनका धंधा। देयर इज द थ्रिल ऑफ द परस्यूट itself, there is healthy pocket money until he himself reveals his collection to his best friend, but then the best friend seems to choose duty over protecting his best friend. So this I have intentionally given you written a micro story which necessarily has all the elements that we need to talk about and address in a review, because there is protagonist, there is conflict, there is commentary on other things which I'm very, very curious if you guys pick up on so many things. And in the meantime, किसी के कोई भी सवाल हो, anything that we discussed earlier, if somebody would like to share a point of view, किसी को कुछ अपना experience share करना है, anything, please go ahead. Anyway, I need a break from talking.
So I think Kartik, they may have difficulty putting it down on the spot. If they
Of
want
course,
to,
of
they can do
course.
that. Two things. One is, of course, questions. If anybody has any questions, this is a good time. Uh,
And sir, when as and when whoever would like to give this a shot and gives it a shot, I'm more than happy to have these emailed to me. If they're writing on with pen and paper, I can simply be sent a photograph. I'm happy to have a look and share feedback.
right. So, I mean, anybody has questions, just raise your hand and we'll come to that. So, Kartik, what we could do uh, is that if you stop sharing, I will just take everybody to the, uh, you know, there is the site that you mentioned, right?
Sorry,
Uh,
I didn't catch you. What did I mention?
the book review.
The book review. Yes, it's a website. You can go to it. It's, I think, January edition. I've reviewed a book of Tahir, Tahir's new book I've reviewed. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so here I just opened this.
Hmm.
This is the one you're talking about, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so I just wanted to tell children that this is there, and I also and the question is, how do you start to review for this? And can sort of children review something here? Is it feasible? Not feasible?
So I can check. I can check. So this is a slightly what's there's no polite way of putting it. Slightly intellectually elitist sort of cohort. Although the associate editor is a batchmate of mine from Doon, and they keep having wonderful contests for children.
Right.
I'm going to talk to him about whether there can be a section made separately on the site for where children are reviewing certain books and what competition is coming up next.
Yeah, the competition would be of interest if folks would have interest. And I can't find Jan 26, but this sort of uh, keeps jumping out as
But it
something.
it really doesn't matter in the sense that in any case, the good thing is कि इसमें इतनी तरह तरह की books रिव्यू की जाती हैं कि अगर respective class teachers or English teachers of these children just see only in terms of age appropriateness and give them options of there'll be so many they can go and read, and it'll be a great learning and great fun.
Hanji, and I'm seeing here, like I've come to this, one particular edition where it is children's books,
Yeah.
and so there are Hindi books also that are
Yes,
reviewed.
yes.
पेट में छुपी कहानियां, मारी का सफर, right? एक एक की मात्रा, कच्चा लींबू. Okay, and there
So
are
this seems to be a thematic issue only because all
yes,
of it seems
yes,
to be,
yes.
yeah.
It is focused on for children, for the young. right? So this is, I just wanted to point it out. If they have interest, they can go here.
Absolutely.
One thing, we could do uh, very briefly is just, you know, you had sort of broadened the broad theme, which is a good one, which is to say that, you can review uh, other things as well, right? So they can review this session, so to speak, right? Or the book, or what happened in the last session. And I just want to quickly pull up, uh, you know, uh, folks have written in the learning, Joy of Learning diaries. Uh, so can you see it now?
Hmm.
Right. So this is Sunbeam Lehertara. I don't think they're there. Uh, would somebody like to read this? Right. This is a review and you can make a quick
Yes, sir,
comment
may I
on it.
read?
Yes, please go ahead, Diksha.
Today we had a great
Disha,
session with Brin. Yes, sir.
louder.
Today we had a great session with Brinda ma'am. It was a book reading session of chapter The Bustle Days of the book. My family and other families. The Bushel Days is a lively and harmless chapter that shows how childhood in Corfu was closely connected to nature, freedom, and curiosity. In this chapter, Jerry spent his days happily collecting insects, animals, and plants, filling jars and boxes with his discoveries. These Bushel Days represent a time of abundance, learning, and joy in his life. One of the most important aspects of this chapter is Jerry's deep love for nature. Instead of playing ordinary games, he prefers observing creatures and understanding their behavior. This reflection is scientific mindset from a young age. His passion is not forced by anyone. It comes naturally from his surroundings and his interests. This shows how an encouraging environment can help a child develop unique talents. The chapter also highlights the supportive role of Jerry family. All through his activities often create chaos in the house, his mother and siblings allow him to freedom to explore. They may complain sometimes, but they never stop him from following his interests. And this teaches us that family support is essential for personal by Akash Kumar Agarwal.
Thank you, Disha. So
Welcome.
before we come to Kartik, if anybody else would like to comment based on what uh, the session we've gone through with Kartik, do you have any reactions to this? Right? Any reactions? What is good? What is not so good? What are the areas for improvement in this? It's a chapter, so it's not a book, but still, based on what we just heard. At anybody, would you like to give it a shot? Just try. Maybe one or two points you want to make. The only way we learn is actually when we try and apply the learning. Right. So let me start then, if no one else is willing to. So the first thing, uh, one of the first things that Kartik talked about is the facts and opinion has to have a balance, right? So uh, to me, there are some judgments being passed, but it's a lot fact-based, it seems to me. Right. So there's maybe a little short on the opinion side, maybe, right? And
But
obviously
that
there's
that
no
can be
conclusion.
simply also a function of one particular chapter not being, not evoking or
Yeah, yeah,
having
yeah.
that
No, no, no. Of
balance
course, what we're
inherently.
doing is a little unfair, but I was
Yeah.
just trying to sort of pick up some things that children have done themselves and sort of look at that, what everybody's been through, because they'll be familiar with the story. It was actually the bushels of learning and not bushel days. So there's obviously some factual errors as well in this. Anybody else? Any other?
But if I can just quickly say what is very significant to me, I'm not familiar with the book, but as far as I can tell, and the way this reflection has been written, is all the inference of how organically and naturally certain instincts and leanings are being not only discovered but nurtured further. And I think that's a very important point.
Yeah, it's captured what is happening in the chapter really, really well in a lot of detail, and you're not left with any doubt at all as to what this is about, and what you can expect. Okay, anybody else? Okay, so let me stop there. So you a lot of PYDS kids were there, Kartik, PYDS itself, and also Garima, Abha, Swati. So yes, lots of kids from PYDS there. So thank you, Kartik. Hopefully, we'll get some reviews of what you put up there and what they're doing in this session, and also as we keep reading. I think it is very, very useful to have a framework to be able to do this, and it would be
And you
really
know
nice.
what's important to understand, guys. I must tell you, all of you students, and मैं बिल्कुल वो appreciate करता हूँ और समझ सकता हूँ. Don't get scared by the sample that I shared. You need to keep in mind the elements जिनके बारे में लिखना जरूरी है, और वो आप अपने हिसाब से लिखिए. The important thing is to comment on each of those aspects. The important thing is not to write some hi-fi review. अब वो मेरे लिखने का स्टाइल है तो मैं तो वैसे ही लिखूंगा.
राइट, और ये बहुत सालों की प्रैक्टिस के बाद पहुंचा है कार्तिक यहाँ पे. तो अगर हम उसके स्कूल के ऐसे पढ़ते तो थोड़े अलग होते.
हाँ हाँ, बहुत अलग थे.
So not to worry. So
Okay.
thank you, Karthik. Really
Pleasure,
appreciate
pleasure.
your time. It's been most valuable. And we'll set up time for March next month. And in April, we're going to see you face to face. So that'll be good.
Wonderful. Looking forward.
Yeah.
Take care.
Okay. Thank you, Anisha ma'am. You can just share the book. What
Yes,
we are
sir.
reading is what you're looking for is in the library. And what we read was about Rio. Rio is a accountant in a in an organization, and what we read so far was that he, ever since he was in school, he has been fascinated by antiques, and he was very keen on setting up his own antique shop. It is his dream, and he seems to be assuming that it's a dream, that some stage maybe it will happen, maybe it won't happen. And that's what we read so far. We had a little bit of input on the situation in his office, where it seems that his boss, Mr. Orase, no, his name is Bio Orase, his boss is, you know, uh, he's an old gentleman who is Mr. Taguchi, who is not so familiar with all the modern accounting methodology, and he keeps troubling Rio for it. And Rio, uh, his nature is to help everybody, and so he sort of takes out time at the cost of his own work. He has to end up doing overtime because when other departments want things, he has to take care of everything because Mr. Taguchi is not really that efficient or knowledgeable. He's got an assistant in Miss Yoshitaka who, you know, who seems to be, looking after her own grooming rather than focused on work. And so he is, he's a diligent worker, and he's sort of caught in a difficult situation where he has to do a lot of stuff on his own and end up doing a lot of overtime. Okay, so that's uh, what we read. Where we're going to start now is from a different aspect of his life. The next day, Wednesday, I go to pick up Hina. Hina is my girlfriend, and she lives at home with her parents in a quiet residential area. As I approach the house, she sticks her head out of the window of a bedroom upstairs and affectionately calls out, Rio. She must have been watching out for me. I stand waiting in the garden, expecting her to come down immediately. Instead, however, Tina's mother appears on the doorstep. Rio, we haven't seen you for a while. You're looking well. Oh, hello. You'll stay for dinner today. Okay. You're always too kind. It's no trouble. My husband enjoys your company. Would you prefer fish or meat? Tina doesn't eat fish, so I always like to cook it whenever I have. Tina bounces out of the door. Mum, enough. You've already said too much. Linking her arm through mine, she waves to her mother with her free hand and pulls me after her. Her scent smells like vanilla. There's a 10-year gap between Hina and me. She's only 25. We met 3 years ago when I was walking on Yuigahama Beach at Kamakura after I'd been to a flea market at one of the temples. What's a flea market? Anybody? What's a flea market? Right? It's a market, where you get things which are gain prices. I remember when I was in college, at least, and you may have seen things around. There used to be a Sunday market uh, near Red Fort. Many times we'd go there to buy things. It had antiques. It had many things, right? But things which were reasonably priced. She was crouched down on the sand. Crouch is bending low, sitting through, sifting through, which means going through, sorting out, sifting through it with such a serious expression that I thought she must have lost something important. When I asked if everything was all right, she replied that she was collecting sea glass. She told me that she used to make accessories, and in the Tupperware container next to her, she already had an assortment of green and blue glass, along with shells and dried starfish. Sea glass is the glass from faraway places that you find washed up on the beach. Fragments of broken jars and bottles are tossed by the waves until the edges rub smooth, and they arrive on the shores of other countries looking like nature's own polished works of art. It's so romantic to think this glass was part of something once used by somebody far away a long time ago. I get so caught up trying to imagine who might have used it and where and when. I can't stop thinking about it. Like me, I thought. So, what we had read last time, Rio, when he first goes into this antique shop, gets fascinated by this old silver spoon, which has a family crest on it. And he is also wondering who must have used it before. So, this is the context why he's saying, like me, I thought. She sees the world the same way I do, with the same eye. I squatted down beside her to look in the sand and spotted all kinds of things: desiccated seaweed, pieces of driftwood, pebbles, a single beach sandal, plastic bags, and bottle caps. The kind of flotsam that mostly get labeled as garbage. Flotsam is actually wreckage, but obviously things which are there in the sea. Yet, from another perspective, these are treasures, and the beach is one vast foraging ground for finding such things. Foraging ground and hunting ground. I spotted a small fragment of glass that was red and shaped like a broad bead. What about this? I asked, handing it to her. Tina made a strangled sound in her throat, and her eyes widened in surprise. Strangled sound is she's sort of reacting to what she sees, like a muffled sound. It's beautiful. Red is quite rare. This is wonderful. Thank you so much. I nodded as if to say, You're welcome, then hurriedly said goodbye. She was charming, but I felt so self conscious. I didn't know what to say. I suppose sometimes I do get lucky, but I didn't think anything more of it at that time. However, this was not the end of it. Next weekend, we meet again, completely by accident. This time, it was at an antiques market in the Tokyo Big Sight Exhibition Center, where by some miracle I ran into her among hundreds of booths and thronging crowds. It's sort of embarrassing to say this, but it was like the air around her glowed. When I saw her, I couldn't help calling out. It was on the spur of the moment, right? I didn't even stop to think. Tina was astonished too. We chatted for a bit, and then I asked her to have tea with me. Until then, I had not once made a pass at a girl. I've gone over the moment in my head so many times, and it still amazes me that I did such a thing. We share a passion for old things. It makes us kindred spirits, right? Sharing the same interests, similar things. That's what kindred is. And we spend our time seeking out shops to visit and events to attend together. Occasionally, we talk about having our own shop one day, but it is just daydreaming. And one day means after I retire or when we win a lottery, I'm sure. Tina has no idea how serious I am about wanting to make that dream come true. Retirement is still many years off for me, and I worry that by the time it comes around, I won't have the passion, strength, or funds to run a business anymore. Today, we are going to hear a lecture entitled Fun with Minerals. So, does anybody know what a mineral is? What is a mineral? What is mineral? Who's going to tell us? What is a mineral? I'm sure you studied this in school, right? What is a mineral?
Sir, can I?
Yeah, please.
Sir, according to me, mineral means a natural solid substance.
Yeah, it's a natural solid substance, and you can naturally occurring, found in the earth, but it's not made from living things, right? So give me an example. What are some examples of minerals? What are some examples of minerals? Right? What is a mineral? Give me an example. Is gold a mineral? Is diamond a mineral?
Natural.
Sir, table salt.
Yeah, right. right? Iron, copper, gold. Uh, there are also some minerals that are good for health, good for the body. Can you name some? Iron is good, yes. In not excess, but iron is good. Yeah. What else? Mineral which is good for the body. Magnesium is one, okay, which is good for the body. So, as you just, uh, as we just sort of read, right, that uh, this is a story set in Japan. They're in Tokyo.
So calcium.
Gold and diamonds, sir, are purest form of minerals. Okay, children,
Yeah,
they need to know they are not combined with anything else. Okay,
right,
iron does not exist in form of mineral. It is in form of iron ore, whichever it is, might be hematite or whatever it is. So it is normally in form of a compound that is a mineral. Okay, and yes, common salt you can find in the sea, and we take it out from there. And sometimes you find common salt on top of mountains, that sea that had risen up in form of and we find it over there. So it is
right.
there. So these are all minerals. Everything that exists naturally.
So, Nakshi's voice, but yes. So calcium also I heard is a mineral. Iron is not a mineral. Iron, is iron a mineral? Okay, let's Google this.
The iron.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Garima is saying yes. Is iron mineral? Yes, that's what the dietary mineral as well. Yeah, yes, it says iron is a mineral. Okay, so let's get back to the book. Today, we were going to hear a lecture entitled Fun with Minerals at a community center that Hina discovered in her neighborhood. Apparently, it's next to an elementary school, but not the one she attended. So I did well to find it, she told me. I came across it when I was looking for a computer course to help me run an online shop. It's great value, only 2000 yen for 2 hours of virtually individual instruction. So, how much is 2000 yen in rupees? How much is 2000 yen in rupees? About 1200 rupees, okay? So 1200 rupees for a computer class, do you think it's expensive or it's reasonable? What do you all think? 1200 rupees for a computer class. Is it expensive, reasonable? What do you think? 1200 rupees computer class, expensive or reasonable? Reasonable, Garamaster. Yeah, that's what Ina also thought. So, we just converted yen to rupees based on an exchange rate, right? Does anybody know how the exchange rate is calculated? How do you get this number? How often does it change? Anybody? Anybody? Exchange rates? How often does it change? Manisha, we lost the book, but I assume you're going to get it back soon. Right. So, yeah, so exchange rates are determined by the market, and many times you may have read in the newspaper, or if you're studying economics in some of the later classes, at least in India, the RBI, which is the central bank, does uh, just try and steadies the exchange rate. That's the rupee to the dollar. The rupee to the dollar right now is how much? Anybody? $1 is how many rupees? Anybody? $1 is how many rupees? 82? No, I think that's little old information, Disha. Not 82. I think it's close to 90 now, if I remember right. 91, Ishika is saying. 90.83, Garima. Okay, so yeah, so that's 90.83. So I remember when I was in college, it used to be 7 rupees. Okay, so that's how much it's changed. And that makes things, that's why normally uh, in Japan, going to the US, everywhere else, we find it very expensive because the Indian rupee, uh, you need many Indian rupees normally to end up buying one of a foreign currency. So it makes it a little tough for us, but it's good for exporters, right? Okay, so let's just get back to this. The other point I wanted to make was that Japan relatively is expensive to India, but this computer class is actually very reasonably priced. And who do we know who's been to this computer class? Do you know anybody who's been to this computer class at this community center? Do you know anybody who's been to this computer class at the same community center? You should know somebody, okay? Somebody who's been to the same computer class in this community center next to the school. Who is this person? No, Hina's going now. Before Hina, who's been there? Tamoka, right? From our last chapter. Tamoka, that girl who's a retail assistant at Eden. She also came to the same community center. Okay? So the community house is an amazing place with so many different lectures, classes, and activities. No longer content with simply making sea glass accessories. Tina is now thinking of how to sell them too. She doesn't have to worry about making a living to support herself, as she has a part-time job in an office 3 days a week and lives at home. She has plenty of time to spare for making accessories and running an online shop. Not like me. I shake my head and chastise myself. That's scolding myself. Don't be me. We arrive at the community house, which turns out to be a white building that's separate from the school. We enter and record our names, purpose of visit, and time of arrival on a sheet of paper at the reception desk. I note that 10 people have been in before us that morning to use a meeting room, the Japanese style room, and the library. The fact this place has a library surprises me. What is the Japanese style room? Anybody? Japanese style room? Japanese style room? Right. One of the uh, Advantages of reading is you go to different places, find out about so many different places, their lives, their culture, right? What is a Japanese style room? Anybody? Okay, it's minimalist. Japanese are into minimalism in a big way, which means it is uh, you know a lot of natural elements used, wooden flooring, some see-through surfaces, some wooden sliding doors, very low furniture. Yeah, simple, calm, and nature-inspired room designed from Japan, right? Karama says. And let's see what it says. It focuses on minimalism, cleanliness, and peace. Yeah. So it's got, and the furniture is all very low. So the Japanese have this habit of sleeping on the floor, and also the furniture you know is very low. What does that do to you, right? If you sleep on the floor and you sit on low furniture, what does it do to you, right? What do you think it does? Is it? I mean, I guess you all. I mean, at your age, it should be easy to sit on the floor, sleep on the floor, uh, and get up from low chairs, right? What does it do for you to do that? Right? Keeps your joints moving, right? So that's why it's been built like that, right? To ensure that you stay fit. And there's this place called Okinawa in Japan, which has, you know, uh, which has amongst the longest living people. So it's a quite mixture of lifestyle, diet, faith, community, purpose. Okay. Isha says the traditional Japanese style room called Washitsu or tatami room is characterized by tatami flooring, sliding doors, no furniture, and an alcove for decoration combining simplicity and natural materials. Okay. So we arrive at the community, Japanese style. Okay. The lecture is in meeting room B with an audience of 4. Besides us, there are 2 older men. But maybe a small audience is just right for this type of talk. The speaker is a man in his 50s called Mr. Mogi, who begins by introducing himself. He tells us that he works at a mineral processing plant where he became so interested in minerals that it has become his hobby as well. He qualified as a mineral appraiser and gives talks and conducts field trips almost wholly on a voluntary basis whenever he has time. His hobby is an all consuming passion, and he does these things voluntarily. Good for him. I'm sure he doesn't bother anyone doing that. These ungenerous thoughts are not distracting me from where to from sorry. These ungenerous thoughts are not distracting me for me to find the talk uninteresting. Mr. Mogi talks about the different kinds of minerals and how they are formed. He showed us specimens of rare minerals and how to use a loop. Right? A loop is like a magnifying device correctly. Then he hands us each a stone about 5 centimeters long with graduated purple and yellow stripes. This is fluorite. Fluorite is fluorspar from Argentina, he tells us. We are going to polish it. We drip water on our stones with a pipette and polish them with sandpipers. Garima, when I came to your school, you were in the chem lab, right? So I'm sure you know what a pipette is, right? Can you tell
Yes, sir.
everybody what is a pipette?
Mm.
What is a pipette?
Actually, it's a small pipe-like structure.
Right. And what do you use it for?
We majorly use it for some uh, putting water on something uh,
Okay. Only water, or can we use other things also?
actually we majorly use it for the dust and we use it for majorly liquids and that is water.
Or use it for, I'm sure you can use it for other liquids as well, right? So,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you. Once they are smooth, we rinse them in water and then give them a final polish with a finer grade of sandpaper. Once the unevenness is smoothed away, the stripes stand out vividly. I can picture doing this in my dream shop. I could have I could have a corner devoted to minerals and invite experts to come and give talks at small intimate events. When the 90 minutes are up, Tina asks if I mind waiting while she speaks with the teacher. I'd like to try making accessories with minerals too. So I want to ask about the hardness and suitability of particular stones. Tina certainly is ambitious for her online shop. There is no reason for me to stand in her way. Sure, there's a library here, so I will go and look at books or something. Take your time. So let me ask you, what is the difference you see in Hina's approach and Rio's approach to what they really want for themselves? Do you see any difference? You see any difference? Right? Both of them have similar interests, right? But what Hina is doing and what Rio is doing, do you see any difference in their approach? Right? What is Hina doing? Hina does several things. She has a part-time job. She stays at home. She has those interests in making things with the glass accessories as we saw, and now she wants to sell them online, and she wants to look at minerals. She found out the where she can get more information, and she's come to get that information. And what is Rio doing? He's only thinking, right? He's only just thinking that I have this dream and it stopped there, right? I hope you see the difference, right, in their attitude and their approach. Okay. The library at the end of the passageway is larger than I expected, with rows and rows of bookshelves lining the walls and central area. Apart from a girl in a navy blue apron behind the counter who was scanning barcodes on books, there is nobody else in there as far as I can tell. I browsed through the shelves along the walls closest to the door. At the community house located so close to an elementary school, I assumed its collection would be weighed towards a juvenile readership. Juvenile is not adult. But I'm surprised to discover that the range of books is equal to that of any standard library. I look for books about antiques and quickly find them in the arts and crafts section. After flipping through a few, I decide to look for books on how to open a shop. The girl in the apron walked past with several books in her hand, reshelving them, I expect. Excuse me, you have something about business startups and management? I asked her. She looked startled. Um, that would be in business, maybe, but biographies of business people might be useful too. The name on her badge is Nozomi Morinaga. She looks like a teenager still and is trying hard to think. I feel bad. Oh, don't worry about it, I reassure her, dismissing my request with a wave of my hand. Nozomi's face turns bright red. I'm sorry, I'm still a trainee. But there's a librarian in the reference section at the back who you can consult. Okay, so did anybody remember anything about this librarian? You remember anything about this librarian? You've come across this librarian earlier. Is she tall, short, fat, thin? Anybody? Tall, short, fat, thin? Anybody? Do you remember? No? Okay, let's find out. In the direction she points, I see there is a sign with the word reference on it hanging from the ceiling. The library might be small, but having a professional librarian is a sign that it is no tin pot facility. Tin pot is a low level or a workplace. When I make my way to the back and peer over the partition at the reference desk on the other side, I do a double take. The double take is that, I look again because I'm surprised. Sitting behind the desk is a large woman. By large, I mean very large. Her head rests on top of a body that looks like it is on the verge of bursting, with no neck visible in between. She wears a beige apron and a loose knit ivory cardigan, and her skin is ghostly pale. She reminds me of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man in Ghostbusters. Okay, so you should Google the picture of Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Ghostbusters was a film came out in '84. Right. Okay. I approach with care. The expression on Stay Puft's face is dour, that's sullen, unfriendly. I can see her body is quivering. Quivering is, shaking faintly. Is she not well? When I glance down at her hands, I notice them moving busily behind the counter, stabbing with a needle at some kind of round object. What on earth is she doing? Some kind of stress relief exercise, perhaps? Still in two minds as to whether to speak to her or not, I'm about to turn on my heel when she lifts her head. Her eyes meet unexpectedly, and I freeze. What are you looking for? Her voice is uncanny. Seems like, very not different. You're not able to explain it. Gentle with an underlying note of tenderness that is most unexpected in that unsmiling face. My feet moves unsteadily towards her, as if they of as if of their own accord. What are you looking for? She had asked. Okay, now this is the same question she had asked Tomoka, right? What are you looking for? I think about it, a place for these dreams that I don't know what to do with. The name badge on her Stay Puft's chest says Sayuri Komachi. All right, I shall call her Miss Komachi. I observe a floral ornamental hairpin speared through the bun on her head. Do you have any books about starting a business? Starting a business? She repeats. Hearing her repeat my words makes them sound grand, as if I'm thinking about embarking on some real impressive project. Sheepishly, that's like with embarrassment, I follow up with another request, and also something with tips on how to successfully resign from a job. Not that I'll be able to start a business or quit my job. This Kamachi places the needle and the round object in an orange cardboard box, which I recognize as a Kurimeada honey dome cookie box. I used to be given these as reward for helping at home when I was a kid. She puts the lid on and looks at me. There are many types of business. What is it that you want to do? I want to open my own antique shops one day. One day? Once again, she repeats a single phrase of mine in a flat tone. Well, of course, I can't quit my job anytime soon, I say quickly, feeling the need to justify myself. And securing the funding to open a shop won't be easy. But the more I say one day, the more I feel like it might only ever be a dream. Only ever a dream? She tilts her head to one side inquiringly. Is that what you think? This, that it will only ever be a dream? As long as you continue to say the words one day, the dream is not over. Maybe it will simply remain a beautiful dream. It may never come true, but that is one way to live, in my opinion. The days go by more happily when you have something to dream about. It's not always a bad thing to have a dream with no plan for ever carrying it out. I'm lost for words. If one day are magic words that keep a dream alive, what do I need to say to make it real? But if you need to know what lies beyond the dream, you need to know. Without warning, Miss Komachi sits ramrod straight in her seat and turns to face the computer screen. For a split second, she holds her fingers above the keyboard and then, without preamble, launches into a high speed blitz on it. Her fingers moving so fast they are a blur. I can only gape in astonishment. Finally, with a single flamboyant flourish, she hits the return key and a piece of paper begins to emerge from the printer. Manisha, you need to leave, right? So that's okay. You can stop sharing. I scan the sheet she hands to me. It is a table of book titles with the author names and shelf numbers. You too can open a store. My store, 7 things you should do before quitting your job. The last one on the list, however, is one I have to read twice. Royal Horticulture Society. How do worms work? A gardener's collection of curious questions and astonishing answers. Surely this is a mistake. I read the full title aloud, softly but loud enough for her to hear. Miss Kumachi, however, gives no reaction and continues to regard me. How do worms work? I repeat. Aha. She pats her hairpin. Incidentally, this flower is acacia. How am I supposed to respond to this? It's lovely, I reply. She taps on the lid of the honeydome box with an index finger. I glance at the picture of a white flower on it, and the penny drops. The flower on the honeydome box is acacia. How is that I've seen this box numerous times before, but never thought about the type of flower that is? The honey in honeydome cookies comes from acacia flowers, she murmurs. Then she folds her large body over to reach down and open the second drawer under the counter. And for you, this one, please take it. She holds out a hand like a lightly squashed cream bun. I automatically stretch mine out in return and feel something soft and light on my palm. It is a woolen ball that looks like a cat. A cat with a brown body and black stripes sleeping on its side. A brown mackerel tabby. What's this for? It's a free gift. Excuse me? A free gift. A bonus to go with the books. A bonus? And what had she been implying when she said, and for you? Do I look like a cat lover? Why? These are really so easy to make. You don't need a pattern and you don't have to make an exact copy of anything, she tells me. And with this, opens the lid of honeycomb box, takes out the needle, the ball of wool, and once more begins to plunge the needle in and out. This feels to me like a signal that my time is up. No more question. I turn to leave with a sheet of paper and cat in hand. Oh, and one more thing, she says, not looking up. When you go, don't forget to record the time of your departure in the visitor's log on the front counter. So many people forget to do that. Ah, yes, of course. Prick, prick, prick goes the needle, and she jabs it with regular precision, in and out, her stay puffed body quivering with fine vibration in time with each jab. Okay, so we'll stop here. Uh, do you remember what she gave? What she gave to Mocha? Does anybody remember? What did she give to Mocha? What did she give to Mocha? Anybody remember? She gave to Mocha. Right, so I think you should be able to see my screen, Ravit, right? So that's the Stay Puffed Marshmallow Man, right? And that's what suggestion is. Very pale, right? This is absolutely white. Okay. So, anybody, what did she give to Mocha? Right? She gave her a frying pan, right? Anybody remember the story she made her read? You've forgotten about Guri and Gura. Okay, so any thoughts on what we read so far? Any thoughts on what we read so far? No? Okay, maybe let's go to back to the Joy of Learning diaries and read a little bit more from that. Okay. And try and see if we can use what we learned today from Kartik's session. Apply some of that. Right? Okay. तो ये दिख रहा होगा आपको, राइट? तलत की कहानी है, तलत है इधर, तलत है, तलत में और तलत रोड. Okay, does anybody want to read what
Sir, may I
Talat is
read?
saying? Yeah, please go ahead. One sec, Disha, you read it last time. Anybody else? If nobody else volunteers, then you can do it. Anybody else? Myra, I think you had volunteered last time. You didn't read. Okay,
Yes,
Disha.
sir.
Okay, Myra, you're there. Go for it.
Today's session was all about learning new things elegantly and enjoyably. In the first session, we enjoyed a lot because Miss Brinda Ghosh ma'am read a story that was super amazing and marvelous. Talking about Brinda ma'am, she teaches stories in a very exciting way, which helps every student and teacher understand them easily. Coming to the next session with Miss Manisha Khanna, ma'am. It was very knowledgeable and fabulous. She read a story from the book by Ruskin Bond, which was very nice and informative. After some time, we read our own written reflections, which showed the students' progress in writing and reading. This class is not just about reading, it's also about gaining knowledge in a fun way. Thank you.
Okay, so that's Talat's reflection. So if we just try and apply what Kartik was talking about, what would be your, what would be your reaction to this? Right, it's a bit unfair, but let's just try and see if we can apply some of those things. Right, Myra, you want to try?
I think so. Sir, she has not really he or she has not really told about what was there in the story and just said that it was good and that they enjoyed it. But that's their personal opinion, as sir said, and they need to describe like what was there in the story and what they found marvelous or exciting and how it was knowledgeable.
Right. So certainly she presented some facts of it, but what was in the books and what was interesting because it doesn't tell people what happened there, right? So if somebody is to read it, say, okay, Talat likes this, uh, okay, that's great. So that's what they take away from it. What else? Uh, what else can Talat add to this, right? Talat's in class five, so she's doing a great job. What else can Talat add to this, right? Besides the point Myra made, what else? Right. I personally think that what she could consider adding to this would be some personal takeaways. Right. When you're coming and you're attending a session, I mean, there'll be takeaways, right? If you think about that, that's that's what makes it powerful, right? And if you, as we keep saying, the purpose is not only reading, but the purpose is also reflection. Right. So, Myra, just read for us the top part about what reading does.
Yes, sir. Reading opens the mind to the wisdom, experiences, and ideas of others, while reflection turns that learning inwards, transforming it into personal insight. Together, they help a learner grow not only in knowledge but also in self-awareness and thoughtful understanding.
Right. Okay. Now, read the part on top. Reading can teach you.
Reading can teach you the best of what others already know. Reflection can teach you the best of what only you can know. James Clear.
Right. Do we know James Clear? I know when I asked which books you were reading, one of you said that you were reading a book by, or you'd read a book by James Clear last, right? Anybody? James Clear? What book comes to mind?
Sir, Atomic Habits.
And were you reading it, Myra?
Sir, I was not the one who wrote that in the chat, but I've read the book.
Okay. So I think it's a good book if you can do a book review for us because I think there are pieces of Habits which will benefit a lot of us, right?
Yes, sir.
If you can write or you want to come and talk about it next time my session is there, that will also work. Whatever you want to do. Okay.
Sure, sir.
right? So I think my personal belief is that what happens to you in life is very, very strongly related to what your habits are, right? And let's not give the story away. We'll listen to Myra and maybe talk a little bit more about habits when she talks about this book by James Clear. So, anybody else, any other thoughts, anything else want to say, any reflection, any reaction, anything else? Okay, then we'll say bye for today and see you again next Sunday. Okay, thank you and bye.
Thank you everyone for
Manisha, you're
joining.
there.
Yes, I'm there. Thank you everyone for joining. And best of luck for your exams. I know it is approaching, or it might have started also in some of the schools. So do well, do reflect, and whatever sir has taught you today in Kartik sir, keep that in mind. It's also be helpful for writing your papers. So thank you everyone. Happy Sunday. Enjoy. Bye bye. Take care.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
sir.